I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Reset roll call. Everybody's present. Old business, approval of minutes, the regular meeting minutes of October 17, 2024 will provide for review. Need a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of October 17, 2024 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call roll.
Mr. Kowalski?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Mr. Brungard?
Yes.
Mr. Stedniker?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Motion passed. Audience participation. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda? Everybody is on the agenda. No takers? Presentations? Did we have somebody from United Way?
I don't see him, so I apologize.
Well, we will just,
I'll
Post it.
present it at another time.
yeah, or present it at another time if they'd like to come up. So, Jake, you don't have to read tonight, so.
Sorry.
I know. Okay. New business, insurance broker RFP. As discussed at two previous city council meetings with the addition of two new departments in 2025 and the rejection of a major insurance claim, staff felt that it was appropriate time to review our insurance broker services. The city received proposals from two firms, Bucati Companies out of Leawood and the Riley Company out of Leavenworth. I need a motion to enter into an agreement with Bucati Companies for insurance brokerage services.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Did we use Bucati for Hathaway before?
So we work with Bucati on our health insurance and employee benefit brokerage services, and they also consult with us on HR-related issues.
Okay.
I think that was one of the things where staff felt pretty comfortable making the switch on brokers, is we have a business relationship already. They've done a good job on our employee benefits. There's representatives from Bucati here in case the council has any questions they want to ask of them.
Are the coverages basically the same between the two?
I believe
I saw where one was going to be a little bit more each year, $5,000 more.
Yeah, the commissions are slightly different between the two firms, yeah. But, I mean, the policies, I would imagine, would be pretty
Similar.
similar. Yeah.
And do we enter into a contract, or is this a yearly thing we look at like we do health insurance?
So, I don't think we've gone out for proposals for our broker services.
For a while?
It's been ever since I've been here, if not a little bit longer than that. But I know that's part of having the broker, is they're the ones who are talking to the insurance companies, trying to figure out if the deductible changes, what does that do to the premium? If the roof coverage changes, what does that do? So on and so forth. Did you have a question, Mr. Clemens?
Yeah, what effect, if any, adding the two departments, because the fire department, they've got some pretty expensive equipment.
I mean, I would imagine the policy is going to be more expensive next year than it is this year, just for the fact that we're going to have a pool and we're going to have a fire station. Because right now, FD1 is paying insurance to whoever they pay insurance to, whereas now we would be paying insurance that is covered through. Yeah.
Is it still going to have a $1 million limit? Because the fire station itself is $2.5 million.
Yeah. Those are the types of things that we would talk about with the broker when they're putting it out to bid to insurance companies.
All right.
Again, I'll throw it out there if Mark Pulliam or Natalie or anyone has anything they want to add or any questions, they're right there if you guys have anything.
Well, I know you discussed the insurance denial with them. Did you feel comfortable with the response that they gave you, that we might not get denied, or they might represent us better?
I think when we did the interview process, I think there was the feeling that they might be more proactive on claims that there's a chance
Okay.
could be rejected. And without getting into a ton of detail, I think that was frustrating in the past because it sounds like it was known there was a chance our claim could have been rejected. And we weren't really given a heads up on that until after it was rejected.
Perfect.
And maybe it wouldn't have made a difference.
Sure.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Let's make sure your comfort level was there.
our comfort level's there. We feel like they're detail-oriented, hard workers. We feel good about them. And like I said, we felt especially good too because we have a business relationship with them for employee benefits, HR, and things like that.
They've been pretty open with situations individuals have to help explain or, work with them through any issues they have, if I remember right.
Yeah, on health insurance, they've been terrific.
Yeah. Okay.
And do we know who FD1 had insurance with, or do we have access to that? Or are we allowed to have access?
No, their current broker, he was a guy out of Lawrence or something like that. He called and I said, it's going to be under the city's umbrella. So I mean, he's losing that business for that building and those trucks, I guess. But I can't remember. It was a gentleman out of Lawrence, I think.
Do y'all know what insurance company you're considering yet?
Yes, there's a number of companies out there that will entertain municipality business. Travelers is who you're with now. There's EMC, they're out there. There's a few others that we will go to and discuss it with them to see what their thoughts are regarding the price, the coverages, claims handling and things like that. So yeah, we are looking at that, and there will be options given to you if we are anointed your broker at renewal time.
If you see any risks inherent to the policy, you'll let us know so we know what's covered and what's not, because I know we have to balance cost and risk.
Right. And we do. And Natalie can chime in on this too. We are very proactive instead of reactive to a claim. And what we do is we build our insurance review summary that lists all the locations, general liability, law enforcement, everything is in there so you see it. It's a running live document. So if a piece of equipment gets taken off, anybody can look at it and see where we're at with it. So it's real time, adding, deleting, adding a fire truck, adding the pool. We work with experienced underwriters at the Travelers, for example, and others too, that would do that and really listen to us to get the best price, best coverages, make sure everything on the fire truck's covered, because there's a lot of add-ons, things like that. Okay. But yeah, we have options to present at renewal time.
Thank you.
And do they have annual reports or statements saying what may change the following year?
We do that 90 days prior to the effective date. We'll go through, it's also in, like in Missouri and Kansas, there's a change in conditions of the policy. They have to let us know before we present the quote. And those will all be detailed in our insurance review summaries that we use, and also the policies along with that prior to 90. So you'll know exactly what you have and what's being covered and how. And it also goes on, with claims handling. We are very, very proactive with that, understand, because that's what we get paid to do. We look at the policy, we want to make sure that there's adequate coverage. First, risk management, for example. I know that your salt barn, that's an attractive nuisance for kids. I mean, there's risk management techniques that we can work with maintenance people to show them how to keep it protected. I mean, that's one example. I said that because it's coming into that season right now. But there's a lot of things that we bring to the table, and everybody will know true time, where they're at, what's going on, and then in addition to the summary review, we can do it once a month, quarterly, however you want to set up. We have a product it's called the Circle of Service, and each quarter, for example, we look at loss runs, we discuss risk management. It's interactive, and there's a lot of very, very good techniques that will save the city a lot of money. So.
I might say something too. I handle the benefits for the city, and I think it's beneficial to work with the same provider on both of these risks, because if there's a work comp claim, we want to ensure that it's not impacting your benefits. I mean, that's a huge line item for the city. And with them being right upstairs, we have an open line of communication, and we discuss claims that are occurring to ensure you aren't paying twice for that risk, which I think is critical.
Anybody else? Good. Got a motion and a second, call the roll.
Mr. Kowalski?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Mr. Brungard?
Yes.
Mr. Stednica?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Motion passed. Item number 4 is adoption of resolution B12, 2024, support of moderate income housing grant application. Resolution B12, 2024 acknowledges the city of Lansing support on an application to Kansas Housing Resource Corporation for a moderate income housing grant to support the Fairline Townhomes Phase 2 project. So I need a motion to adopt resolution B12, 2024 in support of Fairline Townhomes Phase 2 housing development MIH grant application.
So moved. Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes. Was this grant, or did we apply for a grant for phase 1, and did we get one for phase 1 of this project?
I don't think
We did not apply for the grant.
it was available. I can't
Okay,
remember.
and the medium income household, some of the stuff I looked at said that the range had to be between 80 and 120% of Lansing's median income.
Yes.
And then when I got on the Kansas website, it said 60 to 150%. So I'm wondering which one, is it the Kansas grant that we're
Yeah.
applying for?
Yes.
He's correct.
Okay.
Which
Is
one?
it-
You're correct, it was the,
60
I know I'm not part of
to
this presentation, but.
60 to
It is
150.
60 to 150. That's right.
Okay, now I also saw where Lansing's area median income 2 years ago was 100,000, almost 101,000, whereas Leavenworth County was 84, and Kansas, the state was like 82.
Yeah.
So do we use that number, or do we use Leavenworth County,
I believe we're going to be using Lansing.
the Lansing, because that's the one that they're applying for?
Believe
I mean,
me.
it has to be under
I-
60,000.
Yeah, I'm not exactly aware of which one will be used, but we are blessed with a high median income, so.
Yeah, I can shed a little bit of light on this. Leavenworth County falls into the Kansas City MSA, which is, like Josh says, does bump up our median income. The 2024 limits, and it depends on how many people are per household. Let's say it's 2 people per household, it's anywhere from 49.5 to 123,750, which is, I think, the number you were talking about. Whereas the 100% for 2 people is 82.5. And it's a sliding scale depending on how many people are in each household.
I saw that scale too, where it went from 1 person to 8 people.
Yes, yeah, and
That's-
this is on the state of Kansas website.
Yes.
That's similar to what they're doing at Covington Woods, isn't it?
I
Higher-
think it's
higher
the same,
limits.
it's the same median, it's just lower percentage.
Okay. So, and all we're doing is saying that we're in support of the
Yes.
application.
Yep,
Getting the grant.
yeah, so that, yeah, the application and all of that is being run through Greenemeyer
Right.
and his partner in the project, but
it
it
just
looks
needs-
better from the
Right.
state's perspective to say the city is in support of this.
Right.
So that's what we're doing here tonight.
Okay,
Okay, so if we get the grant goes to you?
we don't get it.
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Goes to the
So it
developer,
goes to him, so.
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Or does it come to us and we give it to the developer? I don't know.
Yeah, that I'm not positive.
Yeah, I'm
on
not,
that journey.
this is my first time through. My understanding is the city is the applicant, and then you distribute it. So you are the grant requestee.
Which leads me to my next one. If we get the grant, we give you the 400,000, or whatever it is, and then you end up in violation, who has to pay that money back? The state? Us, who got the grant?
My understanding is, and again, this is my first time through the program, there's a 5-year compliance period. So obviously, it's just really the first 60 months is the concern. And it's a good question. I don't know.
We can follow up. If you want to create a list of your concerns, your questions, we
Yeah, I
can,
know, I was
you
reading
can, you can do
today
this and we can get you answers later.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still in for the
Up to
grant,
you.
I just want to know what happened.
Yeah. I don't know, you want
No.
you're good?
Yep.
Maybe we could table it. All right, we have a motion and a second. Call a roll.
Mr. Kowalewski,
Yes.
Mr. Garvey,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Clemens,
Yes.
Mr. Brungart,
Yes.
Mr. Stednica,
Yes.
Mr. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Kirby.
Yes.
Motion passed. Item number 5 is adoption of reinvestment housing incentive district policy. Proposed reinvestment housing and incentive district policy establishes guidelines and requirements for creating a reinvestment housing incentive district within the city. Housing projects developed within the city partnership through the RHID will be required to meet this policy. The policy aims to facilitate sustainable housing development through tax incentives in designated areas contingent upon approval of the city council and the Kansas Secretary of Commerce. Okay, was there an update to the,
Yes, there is.
okay.
So, on the first one, I want to apologize, there was a typo. So under policy consideration number 1, it says including a minimum of 1,600 square feet for units. What we are looking for in the policy is an average, okay, not a minimum. We want to encourage smaller homes. We're not looking to incentivize 3,000 square foot homes. We're looking to incentivize affordable and attainable housing with this policy. So that's the first one. It's on the agenda item. The more important one is within the policy itself. We want to amend items 1 and 4. So what we're looking at here is moving from, to make it clearer in item number 1, moving from all housing units shall have an average unit size of 1,600 square feet to the development average housing unit size shall be no greater than 1,600 square feet. To add some clarity to that, saying that the development as a whole needs to have a needs to have no more than 1,600 square foot as the average. So if that's 200 units, there can be a couple of homes that are larger. There can be homes that are smaller, but on average, we want that 1,600 square feet. Makes sense? That's item number 1. Item number 2 is number 4. The change to number 4. We're trying to do essentially the same thing with this, but we wanted to make it a little bit more clear. Moving from rental costs should be no more than 30% of the median family income level to, let's clarify that to say monthly rent costs will not exceed $2,500 per month for any unit. So what that works out to be is the essentially the 30%, the federal definition of housing affordability is spending no more than 30% of your income, monthly income on your housing costs. So what that works out to be is essentially the median income for, let's say, a 4-person household in the Leavenworth County area. That would be 30% of their monthly costs of monthly
Why
income.
don't we just say 30%?
Yes.
Why are we putting a dollar figure? Because that's going to go up or down.
I agree.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I mean, if we say
That's a fair
25,
point.
we're just going to have to come back and change it. I mean,
Miss-
I get the 30% is like what the cost they don't like to go over or
Mhm.
under for
But
other
if
things.
30% of a teacher's salary isn't anywhere near,
Right, that's what I'm getting at. So, I
Right.
mean,
Exactly.
So we wanted to, with the change, what we could use is the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation's definition of moderate income, and use that and say 30% of that. But we were trying to get away from something that was, we wanted to just be able to hand this over and have everybody understand it, everybody from the layperson all the way up to the developer as we're having pre-apps. We could use that.
It's somewhat confusing to me on rental or rent
Mhm.
versus, these are houses. So are these all homes that are going to be rented?
That is up to the,
Development or-
that's up to the developer. Right now, there's a wave of build-to-rent homes coming across the nation where subdivisions are being built with the express purpose of the developer owning that property or passing the entire subdivision off to somebody else who will then use a property management company to rent out all of the 100 homes within that subdivision.
But wouldn't we want to decide on what's going in there now? Like, we're gonna zone it. I mean, if it's single family,
Sure.
they're gonna be building single family. So what I'm saying is, if we put an RHID over this area, and they come in and say, I'm building a bunch of single family homes, I'm gonna keep them under 1,600, there's no rent in there, they're mortgages. So, I mean, it's,
I hope they would be mortgages, and we're not.
right, or some, you know, the developer could buy all the homes he builds and rent them, I guess, but that's not the purpose
So-
of the zoning of single family.
I think some of them, like if it's duplexes, because RHID, I think it can apply to duplexes or triplexes.
Or unit types or housing types of greater quantities as well. So we're not limiting to only single-family homes with RHID. We're not limited to that.
But I know there are duplexes in town, like those duplexes kind of by the elementary school. Those aren't rentals, those are ones that people own. But yeah, there's, you know, I guess it does say rental costs if applicable. So I mean, it can be rentals or it can be single-family homes for purchase, duplexes for purchase.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah,
that if
I'm
you're doing
talking about those.
multifamily in one building and you got 2 units or duplex or whatever you want to call it, is it per plex?
It's housing unit.
Because
For
if you
any-
say
for any unit.
1,600 total,
The
you're gonna have 2 little 800.
interpretation of the policy would be for any one housing unit.
Okay, so that's why I was getting back to single family.
So we could make that more explicitly clear to say monthly rents, if applicable, monthly rent costs, if applicable, shall not exceed $2,500 for any single housing unit. Does that make that more clear?
The thing I'm wrapped up on is affordable and attainable. And the folks that I think we're trying to target for this type of housing, I don't know that they're gonna be able to afford $2,500 a month.
So if you work that out to an annual income, that's $102,800. So what you would do with that is that you would take your take $2,500 and let me do math on the fly here because
While you're doing that, our police officers are making,
43,000.
what's a new police officer that's joining our force, how much they make? 55, 56, they can't afford that house.
And Kerry just said teacher starts out
40.
44, 45,
Yeah,
43.
I like the affordable, attainable, because that's what our community needs. And I know that the developer's gonna make a lot more money if he builds a house that's larger and costs more, he's gonna make more. But I'm really focused on trying to help our community, help our teachers, our policemen, our firemen, giving them a place to have an opportunity to have a nice home and raise a good family here.
at least a starter home that could start.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Josh, I'm not sure, this one's not time sensitive, is it? Is this one that we,
this isn't necessarily time sensitive, no. We need to, if we need a workshop that we can.
we could table it and maybe we could invite a couple of you guys to sit down with me and Josh and maybe
Yeah, we can
hash
work-
out the best
yeah,
way
we-
to word number 4 or
If we have like a work session, give us our.
Well, so
picture of
the-
all.
The one thing I would say, I don't think we'll have a work session until the end of January. And I think we do want this in place before
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can go back and listen to the notes and invite a couple of you guys and try to talk through some of this and maybe hammer out better wording for that 4th bullet point. Because I agree, I think the main thing I would say is that's the max.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the developer would be building something that fits the market, but I get that. We don't want to incentivize something and have people put $2,500 as the rent, and so.
So right here in the city of Lansing, Kansas, our vision, guiding principles under housing. Lansing has a diverse, quality housing stock that caters to all incomes and stages of life. I would be for that as long as we knew that we had some lower priced homes that families could purchase for our teachers and our firemen.
And that's the intent of this
Precisely.
policy that we're developing.
Right,
We just want to make sure
exactly.
that whatever our intent is in this policy.
Let's not paint ourselves into a box.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one other question. This policy, in general, it assumes that the developer's design and plans and everything have been approved before they get to this stage.
No.
So this comes before that.
It works in harmony. A developer is not going to just stand up a development plan without coming to the city first saying, hey, this is what we're thinking, right? Once we have this development agreement in place, then they're going to submit plans, like actual preliminary plats, phasing for the housing development to then come in afterwards. But this generally happens, we will have multiple conversations prior to the signing of the development agreements about what it's going to look like. We're going to have a really good idea of what that looks like. We're going to sign the development agreement, then they're going to submit plans, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Because in the development agreement, you guys are going to be able to establish what we expect, right? As the city, what do we expect from this development? And that's going to be part of those conversations.
The reason why we have this plan is because it could be different depending on where they're going to build.
Correct. Yep. Different zoning, what the developer is interested in building, a lot of things to factor into it.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Then I guess I'll move that we table agenda number 5 until,
I think I have a motion and a second already.
Oh,
Or
do you have one?
Oh, good. No. All right, go ahead.
so then I
I'm
move
sorry.
that we table agenda item number 5 until Tim can set up a work session with a couple of the council members here, Nance and Josh, and sit down and hammer it out.
Not so much work session, but a couple of meetings.
Yeah, a couple meetings, yeah. I understand that.
Okay, I have a motion to table, do I got a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second? We already had discussion, call the roll.
Mr. Kovaleski?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Mr. Brungard?
Yes.
Mr. Studnicka?
Yes,
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Kurt?
Yes.
Motion to table passed. Item number 6 is bid approval for Town Center Sewer Extension Project, City Project 2021-03. Thank you for coming, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr.
Jeremy.
Josh, thank you.
This project will extend the sewer from Town Center north to the new 7-mile interceptor and remove approximately 800 feet of aging pipe that is 60 years old. All necessary easements have been acquired. 2 bids were received and opened on October 16th. A-Bay Construction bid $1,226,803. Lina Weaver Construction bid $1,030,365. So I need a motion to accept the bid from Lina Weaver Construction for construction of City Project 2021-03 in the amount of $1,081,884 plus the base 5% construction contingency.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Tony's here to answer any questions.
yeah, Tony, it says a 60-year-old, aging pipe, 60 years old, Town Center?
The,
Ordinance, Kansas.
currently, the flows go through a 60-year-old pipe.
Oh,
On West
okay. They
Kansas.
go through the old one when Town Center was put in, gotcha.
Yes, correct.
All right, thank you.
2 questions. That's the same 60-year-old pipe. Are we physically taking it out of the ground, or are we just disconnecting it and leaving it in place?
Our abandonment procedure would be to dig up the manholes and take the tops off, punch a hole in the bottom, and then backfill them with, fill material. The pipes are typically filled with sand or flowable fill, so that once it's hardened, they stay in place.
And my second question, does this amount also cover the inspections and all that as they go along?
This is just for the construction bid. The contract for Monarch Engineering will be paid for out of our base utility budget for engineering services.
Thank you.
And I'll have that at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Is there any geotech done with this?
Yes. We did, actually, we did twice as much as we typically do because we identified rock at every manhole location. So we wanted to try and tighten the bids up. So we spent some more money to get a better quantity so the contractors knew exactly what they were going to do.
Okay.
Does this go into the creek?
It basically runs down the west right-of-way of Center Drive from K Street to Kansas, along basically the old railroad
Okay, so it
tracks.
doesn't make it that far.
Right. It ties into the 7 Mile Interceptor just south of 7 Mile Creek.
I was just thinking back to the
Yep.
sticky pipe issue we had a couple years ago.
That was part of it.
And a couple.
And there's no environmental concern leaving the pipe in the ground?
No, it's standard practice.
And that's, okay, that's, I was gonna ask, thank you.
Standard practice.
That was the live one. Anyone else? All right, we have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Mr. Kowalewski,
Yes.
Mr. Garvey,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Clemens,
Yes.
Mr. Brungard,
Yes.
Mr. Stednica,
Yes.
Mr. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Kirby.
Yes.
Motion passed. Item number 7 is purchase of radar detection equipment for K7 Main Street in Fairlane. Section 410, sole source purchasing in the Lansing Purchasing Manual allows for the purchasing of specific equipment for various technical requirements. The Wavetronic radar detectors are the systems that are installed in 3 of the 5 signals in Lansing. Purchasing this specific system will keep the radar detectors consistent in terms of compatibility, operation, and maintenance. So this is a new, more cost-effective system. Our current radar detector system requires 4 units per intersection. So we need a motion to authorize the Public Works Department to purchase the radar detection equipment for the Fairlane and Main Street traffic signal from Mid-America Signal in the amount of $16,467.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion?
Why are we paying for this? That's on a Kansas highway, and we've always been told by KDOT we can't put streetlights out like we want to do down here at Gilman for years.
Well, this is for like the cross section,
For the
right?
cross streets,
Yeah,
right?
but I don't think they put those on, do they, or?
No,
Fund.
the city of Lansing owns and operates the traffic signals on K7.
So when we did the Main Street project and all that, those were put in, we bought those.
When the Main Street project was done, that was, federally funded through part of it, and we paid a match, but upon the completion of the project, we took over maintenance and operations.
Maintenance and operation of those signals, okay, gotcha. All right, thank you.
Is this similar to the system we have on Ida, intersection Ida?
It's actually a little bit of a newer system. It's a similar system, yes, similar in that it's a radar detector. It's a 1 radar detector versus 4.
It's similar.
Will it work better than the one on
It's
Ida?
similar that it's on the pole, but it's dissimilar in that it will work.
Yeah, it will work, that's the key thing.
Unfortunately,
If it works here, can we get one on Ida?
the timing on Ida is part of the Operation Greenlight. We've tested the detectors, they are working, it's just that Operation Greenlight timing doesn't call it as quickly as a lot of.
Because I've never seen a problem with this intersection. A problem intersection is Ida, but whatever.
I agree, but I can't say.
Hey, the mayor agrees with me.
Yeah, All right, any other questions on this one? We have a motion and a second. Call roll.
Mr. Kowalewski,
Yes.
Mr. Garvey,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Clemens,
Yes.
Mr. Brungard,
Yes.
Mr. Stednica,
Yes.
Mr. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Kirby.
Yes.
Motion passed. Reports, any department heads, anything? Nope. City attorney,
Nothing to report, Mayor.
city engineer who's here.
Nothing to report.
Tim, what do you got?
I put in my report, I think a couple of you guys noticed we had a police vehicle get totaled a few weeks ago. Speaking of property and vehicle insurance, the insurance was paid out on that. It was totaled. So with the insurance money, we were trying to replace that. There's already one on the lot at Main Street, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, so I think the chief just wanted to replace the vehicle that was totaled with a Durango that's on site now, so I was gonna give him the go-ahead to do that, so we can get that pretty quick, so.
Will we salvage any of the old equipment on the old car or not?
Some of the radio and internal equipment, light bar and stuff, no. Cage unit, no, it's good. Coming off of a truck into a Durango and they don't cross match each other. So what we could get out of it, we got what we could. Insurance reimburse part of that.
Right.
Does this price include getting all the additional equipment back installed?
No, the price of the vehicle, the price of the Durango is that price. It doesn't include any updated and buying any additional equipment. So, radar system, 800 digital we just replaced, things like that. We were able to pull out. We'll be able to recycle the consoles, light bars, control heads. Those are going to have to be replaced.
Thank you.
We had a really good discussion tonight about the RHID policy, and that got me thinking too. We have had a lot of residential developers reach out to Josh and I over the last few months. And the things that we keep hearing about the ways to keep housing prices reasonable is density, tight lot sizes, and the RHID program. But specifically, I do want to mention lot sizes because I think that's going to come up in future city council meetings and future planning commission meetings. I know there have been times when I think when people will see a 50-foot lot in town, they think that is tight. But I will tell you, I think that's going to become the norm if developers are going to try to build homes that are in the 300 range. I think 50-foot, give or take a little bit, I think that's going to become the norm.
I agree.
So I do want to, no action on this tonight, but start wrapping your minds around that when you're driving around in your neighborhoods and subdivisions. Look at the lot sizes, look at those tighter lots in your neighborhoods, because I do feel like those are going to be the types of proposals that are going to be coming before the Planning Commission and the City Council in the future. So.
And lot sizes were voted on earlier this year, right, to reduce the size, if I remember correctly?
Yeah. That was.
What is the minimum footage you recall?
I think it depends on whether it's R1, R2, or R3.
I think it was 40.
It's 40 for R2, 50 for R1, and then there's a variety that you can choose from in R3 because of the different lot housing unit types allowed in R3.
I was just thinking that, depending on the zoning, it can be as little as 40. So.
R3 allows even tighter, but yes.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Mm-hmm.
So just, like I said, no action on that, but I think those discussions are going to be coming forward to the Planning Commission and to the council at some point in the future. So start thinking about that.
Don't be shy.
Just, yeah, start thinking about it, just because I do feel like that's, if the goal is housing that's more affordable, that's how they do it and still turn that profit. Mr. Robinson, you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said, normally the way they would turn profits is building big houses and as expensive as possible. But I mean, if we want to make them affordable, that's kind of the trade-off, is tighter lots. So.
Our society has went to where we want more room in between houses because we want to be away from our neighbors, which I don't understand. Some of the older areas, like I was in Herman, Missouri this weekend, and some of those houses are literally this close together. And Brenda asked me, she said, how do they paint the side of the house? Because it's two-story and it's this close together. And that's back when people used to, have neighbors right next to them and they would walk out and say hi to each other. So I think that's a great idea to have houses closer in higher density areas.
It's going to become more common, and I want you guys to be thinking about that and just to be aware of that. So. Asset allocation with Fire District 1, that's been going pretty well. I feel like we're As far as equipment goes, I think there is agreement on the equipment. There's an agreement on the cash allocations. Really, right now, the last few things we're hammering out is just the wording on some stuff. We have kind of an ad hoc committee of Councilman Kirby and Councilman Clemens, so I've been trying to keep them, and Mayor McNeil, so I've been trying to keep them updated on all of that stuff, while also trying to keep Delaware Township updated, as well as the incoming fire chief. So it's been a lot, but I do feel like the equipment side of that, I do feel like that's pretty much finalized. We're just kind of working on wording. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. And we're hoping to have a memorandum of understanding with all parties on the November 21st City Council meeting.
I think the good thing to point out is that Joe and who we believe will be the chief and I Prairie are in agreement here as to who ought to get what.
Yeah.
So that's helped things go pretty smooth.
Yeah.
They're not down there fighting over who wants what and who gets what. So I'm glad, because like I said before, we need to get this wrapped up.
Yeah.
We need to give the fire board all the time that we can.
Yeah, agreed.
But this thing got to put it to rest.
You know, that's a perfect point, because I think a month and a half ago it was me and a lawyer talking about stuff, and Joe and Jeff have forgotten more about fire protection than I will ever know.
Right.
So it's been good to get those guys involved.
Tim, let me ask you a question about that. Has there been any discussion about a new logo for the fire building and the logo for the trucks? So right now they say Fire District 1 on them.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to eventually have to take those off and put something else on, right?
I know there's like a concept for a new patch.
Okay.
I think we're in the process of purchasing uniforms and new, I'm trying to remember what the dress uniforms are called. But I think they're in the process of doing all of that. Again, where it is challenging, they're working full-time jobs and they're working for another entity right now. So a lot of that stuff is passing it along to me, and I purchase, you know what I mean? So there's kind of
It'll be a magnet over top of the old emblem until we can figure out what's in.
there's kind of a dance we've had to do the last couple of months, and I know Chief has helped out with a lot of that stuff too. And it's been a lot, but yeah, they do have a concept for a logo.
Perfect, thank you.
And then the last thing, kind of a fun thing. I think some of you guys might have heard the Leavenworth County Historical Society received a grant to fund outdoor Spirit of the Buffalo statues throughout Leavenworth County. Each statue would be placed somewhere in Leavenworth County, and then an artist would paint the statue. I would almost compare it to, I think if you guys would see in the past, those big hearts that were in Kansas City that people would go and take selfies by and take pictures by and everything. There is a Lansing family who wants to sponsor a buffalo, and they had reached out to us about placing it on the City Hall property, and we would look at placing it between the digital sign and the tree, so it'd be visible from K7. But also so if residents wanted to come look at it, they could park in the parking lot and go look at it. But since it would be a piece of art on City Hall property, wanted to mention that to you guys. The picture, and maybe I should just pass this down, that's what the unpainted ones look like. A local artist would paint it. And so wanted to pass that along. There would be a concrete base. So once it's installed, I believe it would be there for at least 5 years. But anyway, wanted to verify you guys were okay with that, to see if you had any issues with the piece of public art being on the City Hall property between the digital sign and the tree.
Is it going to be on a base, like a cement base?
Yes.
Really good idea.
So, yeah, the picture, it doesn't have any type of base, so there's going to be a cement base
Yes.
that is going to be attached to that.
My understanding is there's a base. Yeah.
The great part of it being located here is with police officers coming and going all hours of the night, it stands less chance to be vandalized.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Any issues with that?
I
to see a lot of room with this, with naming the buffalo. and-
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I think it's good.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be 10 of them all over Leavenworth County.
Very good.
That's all I have.
Good, Tim?
Yep.
Okay.
Was the fire truck purchased? Are we good to go on that?
Yep, we purchased that, it's in the process of being manufactured. You know, he did say recently they've been faster than they originally thought, so, you know, that'd be terrific if we could get it in May rather than June or July, but I want to say 8 months was kind of their standard contract, but yeah. So yeah, we're excited about that.
That's great.
All right. We'll go around the horn, starting with Jake.
Just want to thank Josh and Tim for getting creative, trying to find some innovative solutions, bring some affordable housing to town. It's really needed. That's all I have.
All right. And Jesse.
And a bit of what Jake said, I appreciate all your hard work on all the projects throughout the city. I appreciate all of our volunteers for sure. But, Tuesday's election may or may have not went people's way. Some people might be mad about it, some people might be happy about it, but we all have to remember one thing. We're all Americans. So let's all just get along and try to move our country, especially our city, in the right direction. That's all I've got.
Okay. Pete?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment about the people that attended today. They were attentive and they really assist the board in our decision-making process. But specifically, I'd like to bring up this young Boy Scout here getting his communications badge. What's your name, sir? Callan, thank you for being here and just wanting to know a little bit about your city and how we do business. It's good to have you here and I appreciate it. And I'd like to echo also, Josh, great job on your presentation. We're not beating you down, we just want to make it right. We want to do what's best for everybody, so it was great. And, you know, we have so many talented people in Lansing. Tony comes in, he starts talking about pipes in the ground. It's amazing to me, the great, and you know, Tim, we just have great staff. So I just want to shout out to all those people for all their fine work.
All right. Dan?
I'd like to echo what's already been said. I'd like to give a shout out to Tim, Josh, and Michael. We had a HOA up in Ward 4 that had some questions in drainage and water and was looking for recommendations, not specifically city responsibility, they acknowledge that, but just gleaning knowledge. And I appreciate them hosting the meeting, being there and discussing the different avenues. So thank you very much. That's everything there.
Okay, Carrie.
I have nothing there.
Carrie. Don?
I got a couple things. It might be your one, no. Question on the old golf course. Do we know anything that's happening with that? I know we've had a code guy out there talking to him about cleaning up and mowing and cleaning up the downfall trees and fixing the wall along Eisenhower and all that kind of stuff. Have we got any movement on that at all? I get calls all the time from people that live, butt up to the back side of that, their backyards butt up to the back of that golf course. I get calls all the time, you know, when's the city gonna do something? Is the city gonna clean it up and charge them, or, you know? Is it for sale? Do we know anything?
Well,
I mean, it's really, and the way it was put to me the other day, it's really an eyesore.
yeah.
When you come into Lansing, that's the first thing you see.
And the only thing we're responsible, I mean, if they mow 10 foot in, they could grow a jungle out there based on our current ordinance. So it just depends on what they're talking about. If they're
Right.
not mowing along the fence line and clearing those areas out, we can do something about that.
On some of the code enforcement stuff, Josh can jump in too, but I mean, I know we've reached out to them. One of the challenges we have is, I mean, it is zoned agriculture, so I think beyond that first 35 feet, they can let it get taller and nail it.
No, I understand.
So that's one of the challenges, but I know we've sent them a few letters, and I think they've responded to most of them on code enforcement stuff. Regarding selling it, I will tell you, we've referred people to the owner of that property, told them to call them, given them their phone number, and they just don't really seem to be interested in selling it, as weird as that sounds.
The other
Because-
golf course was closed 5 years before that one, and it's still sitting vacant.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry.
The other golf course has been closed 5 years before that golf course, and it's still doing nothing with
We're
it.
talking down by Shea Park.
Oh, yeah.
and see,
And it's owned by the same people.
I've never even seen like a price tag for it. I've never been made aware of what they're trying to sell it for
So I
what
guess,
they're-
I guess my point is, we're doing, we from city are doing everything we can to
Yeah, and
keep it cleaned up and see, get it moving on what's gonna happen.
When we met with the folks from Fairway Estates, one of the things that we mentioned was, you know, our code enforcement officer typically stays within the public right of way unless he's invited in. So we encourage them, you know, if grass is getting really shaggy and it's close to the property line, let us know and we can go in the backyard as long as we're like, so if you have a property owner who's torqued off about that, just be sure when they file that complaint or whatever to say, hey, walk in my backyard and then you can see it. Because that makes it easier for us to enforce.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand it. Yeah, you gotta be invited on private.
Well, and I've had a couple instances where I told people, we can't see it from the street. And I've had several of them say, come on in my backyard. You can see it from there.
Yeah.
Which makes everything a whole lot easier.
Makes it
Then you
a lot
got
easier.
people that don't want the neighbors to know they're the one ratting them out, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other thing that's happening that makes it more of an eyesore is they're scavenging the grass for other golf courses.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
looks
they're
like they're out
harvesting
there
the
doing
fairways.
4x4s. You know, I mean, it just looks like mud trails as they pull up the grass.
Okay. The other thing that I want to ask, the Chief, can you give us any information on the big accident last night out here at City Hall? There's any real information? I got, I think 4 or 5 calls today from residents wanting to know, what happened? Other than, what we already know, there was an accident and 1 person was killed.
Yeah, you know, last night, everybody knows there was a fatality accident at 4-H in Maine. Right now, preliminary, you know, there was one vehicle was traveling southbound on Main Street, the other one appears to be making a left-hand turn. Now, right now, you know, we've still got witness statements that we're going through, and there's certain medical procedures, you know, doing to make sure there wasn't anything else involved and all of that good stuff on there. So, you know, right now, you know, it could have been, you know, that light's always been that finicky, and, you know, trying to determine the sequence of the lights. We're relying on a lot of witness statements saying what they saw. And since we're dealing with a commercial vehicle, I don't want to get into what witnesses saw or what they didn't see.
I understand, Chief. I just want to know if you could give us any.
So, you know, right now, it looks like, you know, just that the bus was traveling southbound, and a vehicle appears to be making a left-hand turn, and the one person in the sedan was the fatality in that. Very unfortunate, I will tell you from being there, and in all the years I've been in law enforcement, that was pretty kinetic. There was a lot of kinetic energy in that accident. It did catch fire. It was fully engulfed when the fire department arrived on scene. So, you know, a lot of people got to see that going on, and, you know, there's a lot of questions with, you know, the vehicle that had the tarp over it. And I know when I got up to City Hall, there was multiple vehicles in the parking lot taking pictures of the accident scene. So, you know, I'm sure there was a lot of posts out on social media about what was going on, and you know,
All speculation.
I'll keep my opinions of putting that on Facebook like that myself.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, it's always good until it's your own family member, and then it's not quite as fun to put it out there. But it is what it is. We're following up. There was just, you know, we had the help with the highway patrol. We had a traffic unit from Shawnee come up to help map that traffic accident with some of their equipment. And then we worked at it. There were not, it was a coach bus. There was not, you know, there was a couple of passengers on there, but it was, thank goodness, it wasn't a fully loaded 60 to 80 person payload on that bus. Just with the information that we got. So as far as anything that could, you know, I can't say speed was involved. I can't say speed wasn't involved in it, because at that intersection,
Don't know yet.
you know, I travel by. I haven't seen too many coach buses running 60, 70 miles an hour down the streets and stuff. They're usually pretty careful, but, you know, whether the light was turning or not turning and going from there. So, but
Sort
yeah,
all that out.
right now, it just appears one vehicle's traveling south and one was gonna turn to go westbound on
Turn in
4H.
front of you,
And, it just didn't end well.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, Kevin.
Josh, thanks for answering my questions, or getting me through that stuff. If I have any more, I'll get with you guys. And you four gentlemen dealing with the fire district, I was involved early on in that. It didn't take me long to lose my patience with some of that stuff going on, so kudos to you guys, and you deserve more than a pat on the back for working
It's my tongue more
through all
once.
those issues.
Get another water.
Yeah. Yep. And that's all I have, so.
Thanks, Kevin. Gene?
Basically what everybody else said, I agree with, but I really, seems like here lately, we've really latched onto this affordable housing thing. I know we've talked about it and talked about it. And it feels like we've got movement going on it. We've known for years that affordable housing was a problem here. And so I'm glad to see that we're moving forward, because it's needed. It's really needed. And with that, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. I have a motion and a second to
Motion.
adjourn.
Mr. Pawlowski?
Yes.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Mr. Brungard?
Yes.
Mr. Stednica?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Just be there for tonight, though. We are.